A viewer named Zack emailed me and offered me this special edition Fallout 76 Tricentennial Xbox One X, and I told him I'd love to have it to make a video about it. Unfortunately, it is broken, so in this video, we're gonna try and fix it. This video is sponsored by JLC PCB. So the first thing we need to do is try and turn it on. I've got it plugged into power. Let's see if it'll power on. Okay, we get no white light on the power button. So it gives us the startup tone, but absolutely no power other than that. Let's get it torn down and see what's going on. This Xbox One X is a Fallout 76 Tricentennial Edition, and as far as I can tell, there was only a few of these made for specific sweepstakes and giveaways. I couldn't find one of these for sale anywhere online, so I'm assuming there's only a handful of them out there. Now, if we can get this one repaired, I'm gonna upgrade the hard drive to a 1 terabyte SSD. But first, we have to figure out what exactly is wrong after we get it torn apart. And just like that, we're in. I did notice that somebody has been into this. There was no warranty sticker on it, but luckily it looks like they haven't messed anything up. All the screws are there, and they were all in how they should be and not stripped or anything like that. So we got lucky on that part of it. It does look like it is fairly dirty inside. You can see we got some dirt on the fans. Also quite a bit of dirt on the inside of the case. So we're gonna give this a good cleaning. But first, let's get down to this hard drive. That's one of the things that I suspect is causing the problem. Usually with this type of issue, we either got a hard drive issue or sometimes the retimer can also cause that problem. So first, just gonna flip this up so we can get to these connections for the hard drive. Now, in order to diagnose this, what I'm gonna do is just put in a hard drive that I know is good, and then we'll try and start it up again and see if it'll show up on the screen. If it does, that indicates that the hard drive is the problem. So I'm gonna be using a Samsung 860 EVO 1 terabyte drive. I'll leave a link down in the description if you'd like to try this out on your Xbox. These are great drives for this purpose. Now let's get it installed. I'm not gonna put the base of it on, I just wanna test it and see if this is gonna fix our problem. So I'm just gonna plug it in and then we'll start it up and see what it does. Okay, and here we go. Power. Ooh, still no light or anything. Okay, and since we have a new drive in there, we know that it's not a drive issue, so that makes me believe that it may be a problem with the retimer on this one. Those are usually the two main causes that'll cause this problem, where it'll make the noise, but it won't turn on. So I'm gonna move over to the retimer, replace that, and let's see if that'll fix it. We got a lot of dirt on this one. Quite a bit of dirt caked in here. The heatsink isn't too bad, that's the main worry. So it's not too bad, but we got some cleaning to do on this for sure. Okay, and somebody has put new thermal paste on this, and it looks like maybe the retimer is what they tried to fix before, so this should be interesting. So it looks to me like they may have replaced the HDMI port. I think maybe the retimer chip, but I can't tell for sure. Let's get under a microscope. So here we have the retimer chip on the Xbox One X, and if it's been replaced, somebody did a really good job replacing it. I think it has been, because it looks like somebody's cleaned up flux off of the board. And also, it looks like it's maybe just a teeny tiny bit misaligned right here. Definitely not an issue with how it works. It works just fine, but I think if it was factory, it would be lined a little bit better here. So I think this chip has probably been replaced. Let's check the port. And as far as I can tell, the port has not been replaced. I don't see anything that looks like it's been replaced. If it has been replaced, somebody did a really good job on it. There's one other thing we also need to check, and that's this little BGA chip right here. One of the best ways to test this is just to test if it's shorted. So I'm gonna get my multimeter and just start testing these components right here. See if this chip shows any shorts. So I have my black probe on ground. One side of these capacitors should beep like that, and the other side should not. Okay, no problems there so far. Okay, and I don't see any issues with this chip. So I think it is time to replace this retimer chip. So we've got some brand new chips here. I'm gonna take one of these brand new chips and I need to flip it over. And I need to do something called tinning the pads, and that is where I'm just gonna take some solder and go through and put a little bit of fresh solder on all these little pads, and then some fresh solder right on this middle ground pad as well. Once I'm done tinning the pads on this chip, I will heat up the chip on the board using a hot air soldering station. Then I will remove that chip and I'll install this new chip. So this looks pretty good. We've got it soldered on there nice and straight, but I am gonna go through with my small soldering iron and just touch up each joint just to make sure each joint is soldered on there all the way and fully and correctly. Let's also make sure these pins are all aligned. Ah, there we go. That's a major problem. So you can see how the pin itself is right there, but the pad is right there. So this whole chip needs to move over this way. And even right here, even though these are aligned better, you can see that the pad on the board isn't actually connected to the pad on the chip. So I need to go through and manually resolder all of these joints as well. So this is a great example of showing why, even though this chip looks like it's on here solidly, it's definitely not. If you look at these pins right here, there's only a little bit of the pin showing, whereas over here there's a lot more of it. And actually even these pins right here are much shorter than these pins up here. So it should probably go up this way a little bit. It did look pretty aligned over here, so I'm not as worried about that, but it definitely needs to shift over to the left here. And there we go. Now all of these pins have been soldered on very solidly. I even went through with my iron after I was done with my hot air just to make sure that each one was soldered on correctly. And each pin on the chip is connected to the correct pad on the board. Now that that's done, let's get this thing back together enough to test and see if that'll work. And it's back together enough to test. Here we go. Come on, show us something good. Ah, bummer, exact same thing. I can't believe those two things didn't fix it. Those two things normally will fix probably like 90% of this sort of an issue. So this just got a lot more difficult, and this was supposed to be my easy fix of the week. JLCPCB.com is your one-stop website for high-quality and fast SMT services. By getting your custom PCBs manufactured from JLC PCB, you're going to save yourself both time and money. When you use JLC PCB's website, you can design your PCB and then watch the manufacturing process in real time right on their website. There are thousands of components supported by JLC PCB, and they have reliable partners like DigiKey and Mouser to make sure that they have the parts you need when you need them. JLC PCB's parts library has over 200,000 parts, and you can pre-order them to make sure that they have what you need when you're ready to order your service. They offer low prices and fast delivery, saving you time and money. In fact, you can get a $27 new user coupon and a $24 coupon every month. One of the ways that JLC PCB produces such high-quality PCBs is their inspection facility. JLC PCB has an X-ray inspection facility to make sure that their PCBs are some of the best you can buy. If you want to check out JLC PCB for yourself, I'll put a link in the description that'll take you right there. So I've done some voltage testing on this board and I don't see any problems so far, but I do want to check and make sure that this chip is getting the voltage that it needs, just because this chip so commonly causes this problem we're having. So what I'm going to do is check and see if pin 11 has 3.3 volts and pin 12 should have 1.1 volts. So 10 right there, 11 will be the first pin right here, and we do have 3.3 volts, and pin 12 is the next one over. And we have 1.1 volt. Also pin 37 should have 3.3, and it does. Pin 20 right over here should have 1.1, and it does. And pin 40 should also have 1.1, and it does. The last pin that should have 1.1 is pin 31, and there we go. So this chip has all of the voltages that it needs to run correctly, which leaves us at a dead end. I have heard that the Wi-Fi chip on these boards can also cause this problem, so I went ahead and just replaced it just to make sure that wasn't it, and that didn't fix the problem. So unfortunately right now, I'm just not sure what else to do on this board. It could be an APU issue, it could be a Southbridge issue, or it could be an issue with any one of these other chips on the board. So I think what I'm gonna do now is call this board unfixable for now, but I'm not gonna call the whole console unfixable. What I'm gonna do is actually replace this board and disk drive with another one that I know works, just so we can get this console working, because this one just looks amazing. So I'm gonna get that installed into this console, then we'll test it all and make sure it works. Then we gotta give it a good cleaning to make sure it's nice and shiny when we're done. So here we have a known good board and the matching disk drive. The matching disk drive is important because there's a little board inside this drive that is married to this board. This disk drive is pretty dirty, so we need to do a good cleaning. I'm actually going to take this apart and clean the inside as well, but I think what we need to do even before we do that is take care of this thermal paste. And giving this Xbox One X the perfect amount of thermal paste is going to give it a great start on its new life. Now with that done, we can get to the disk drive. Now with those 4 screws out, we can remove this bottom metal plate. And we have access to the inside of the drive. It actually doesn't look too dirty in here. I'm still gonna give these rollers a good cleaning. Now with those rollers clean, the only other thing I wanna do is remove this laser carrier right here so we can give the laser itself a good cleaning. To do that, we need to remove the green board. Then we just need to remove 3 screws to get the laser out. And again, the only reason I'm going through all this trouble is just because this disk drive was so dirty, and I just wanna make sure that the laser itself is nice and clean. And now that I have this carrier part removed and I can get to the laser, I'm gonna take some 99% IPA and a Q-tip, give that laser a good cleaning. Then we'll just put that all back together. And now that the disk drive has been fully cleaned, we can continue building the Xbox. I'm gonna use my cleaning brush to loosen the dust and dirt. Then I'll use some compressed air to blow it all out of the fan in the fan cavity. And that should get it nice and clean. That is looking much better. Now we can get the fan installed, then we can get to that SSD upgrade. And once that SSD is installed, we can install the disk drive. Next is the power supply, and then we can install the top metal plate. Now we can get the power board installed, the Wi-Fi antenna board installed, and all the little screws installed, but then we need to work on the case and get it nice and clean. And that's pretty good for the inside of the bottom case. Just gonna give the outside a good wipe down, and that's good for the bottom half. Let's take care of the top. Now we need to get this looking good. You can see there's quite a few smudges and scratches on this, so let's see if we can take care of some of that. Unfortunately, it's kind of tough to really show the scratches. That shows it a little better with it zoomed in. We've got quite a few over on this edge that I don't think are really gonna come out, but we'll see. So I'm gonna be using some Novus plastic clean and shine. This isn't really gonna get too many of the scratches out, but it should make it nice and clean, and then it'll also help repel dust once we put a coating of this on here. Okay, that's actually looking a lot shinier. I'm gonna do another coat of this just to make sure that it's looking as good as we can possibly make it. Okay, what do we think? That looks beautiful. It feels kind of like right after you wax your car. It's got that feel to it. It definitely didn't remove very many of the scratches, which I didn't really expect, but it looks really nice and shiny. Okay, now let's put the case back onto the Xbox One X and see what it looks like. And there we go. I don't even want to touch it. It just looks so good. The bottom even looks great. I mean, this thing is just really nice looking. It definitely still has some scratches and scuffs on it, but overall, this is in great condition. But will it start up? Okay, good news. We have power, but do we have display? Black screen. Good. Come on. Yeah, there we go. So this special edition Xbox One X is now fixed. If you want to see a video where I buy a broken Xbox One original, the Halo edition, I'll put a link for that up on your screen now so you can come hang out with me over there and see if I could fix that one. Thank you so much to JLC PCB for sponsoring this video. Be sure to go to their link in the description if you want to check out their services. Thank you so much for watching today, and I hope you have a good one.